I'd be damned. Alright. Today's session will be a short session of working on a Django-based task. Pengantar keamanan perangkat lunak. So it's mostly centered around security, but me personally, I just see it more like understanding the basics of software engineering, not even from a software perspective. Alright, let's just begin. Not even from a security perspective, I mean. Anyway, let's begin now. Okay. I had 2 assignments previous to this, 6 and 7. Now we're just going to be working on model. Okay. Just going to create 1 master table and then 2 new tables based on the topic provided here. So my topic is transportation, so route, ticket, and payment. We're just going to have to create 3 new models. So it's going to be in a new app here, I would think. All the templates are here. Its name is input validation. Input validation is the name of the app, unfortunately. Damn, I made everything in 1 file, in 1 app. Honestly, that's fine though. Whatever, let's just make it all in 1. I just don't really understand what we're being tasked with doing. What is this? Tips. Alright, I guess we're also going to learn about atomic transactions, database transactions. So what are transactions? Auto commit. Each query is immediately committed to the database unless a transaction is active. Okay, so what I understand is that Django makes multiple queries. So for example, whenever you query using for example, when you're querying for users, you use user.objects.all, and when that runs, it is immediately evaluated, right? Even though it's lazy, like the query set itself is. Wait, actually, I thought they were lazy, like lazily evaluated. Okay, let me actually check. Django query lazy evaluation. I remember reading about this, and it says query sets are lazy. Sure. Constructs a query. Okay. Okay. So what does it mean here? Each query is immediately committed to the database. Okay. I'm not sure about what commit means, but let's read slightly further. Interpretive ORM. Okay. Okay, so let me actually check this out real quick. Alright, before calling a view function, Django starts a transaction. If the response is produced without problems, commits the transaction. I honestly don't really understand. Django, what is committing a query to a database? What does that mean? don't think I don't see why if if Django if Django auto commits, why is it lazy? What does that mean? Of course, we could always GPT this bad boy. I think that's the most efficient way of learning at this point, because searching for it on, I probably should go back to Google, but I feel like Ecosia is quite okay. I'm just gonna switch back when I feel like it, I suppose. If Django's query sets are lazily evaluated, why is it also claimed that these query sets are by default running on auto commit mode? What gives? Alright. You create a Django query set, you're building up a query, not actually running it yet. This is lazy evaluation. Okay, that's good. What? I think I kind of understand. So it auto commits each, what do you call it? Each query. No, but it's one query. What? What I don't understand is, what would the benefits of wrapping if the query is built, is built per statement, then evaluated all at once lazily? Alright, I see. Assume that I've made multiple queries in one view function, right? But I've not used any data returned by the query. I'd assume that none of the queries are evaluated then. assume now that I wrap these queries in a DB transaction, would all of them, all the queries be run as one transaction now, as opposed to two multiple different transactions? Is that how it works? Really? I honestly, I don't like how GPT says this shit. It's like, yes, you're thinking exactly along the right. It's like giving me a false sense of security, you know? Like, what if I'm not right? I don't know. Okay. I see. So, right. What is the motivation behind using database transactions? I would actually have to read up on this from an actual article, but safe, consistent, and correct. Okay. I was thinking it should like fulfill the atomicity thing, right? Because it's either all or nothing. It either fully completes or has no effect at all. I would think that when you make a select query, right, then the transaction will either complete or it will return an error of sorts, right? What happens if the system crashes after sender say? Okay. Okay, that's good. I understand this so far. Okay. How does... Okay, I understand what you just said. However, how does this connect with the earlier example of having the query sets evaluate outside of the atomic clock? Okay. I wonder if you can hear anything. it probably could. It's like my laptop fan's dying at the moment. Alright, so the solution is to evaluate inside. Okay. The query set is evaluated after the atomic block. Okay, that's true. The select query, where is select? Okay, the select query should be running outside, right? Because it's being evaluated outside. Won't see the DB state during the transaction. See the post commit state. No, but why? Okay, that's probably why. What do you mean by the select query won't see the DB state during transaction, rather the post commit state? Post commit, so that's after committing. Wouldn't the select query be run while committed, right? During the commit? What does it mean to read the DB in a post commit state if the evaluation is tantamount to committing the query, like committing the transaction, right? What the hell? Right, so in the first example, you provided the query building doesn't really do anything inside the transaction, no? I'll read it up. I'll read up on it first. No, not really. No, I don't think that's... What? I don't see why your task example should work the way you say it would. If I were to run the update query, I would expect it to run before the transaction ends. Oh. But I see that if the list QS function were called in the transaction, the context of the DB state would be before the transaction is run. Is before the update statement is called. Does this mean that a transaction kind of captures the context of the DB state for a single, for a number of queries defined inside of it? I think that's what it means, right? I think I understand now. So that means the example you gave me earlier about really stand as it would have done that with or without the query set. The transaction file. You know what I mean. No, but yeah, there we go. I think that makes more sense. That will still get 0 results. Yeah. There we go. I think I understand. Okay, let's read through the documentation again. Its default behavior is to run in auto commit mode. Each query is immediately committed to the database, and each query, right? Yeah. Unless a transaction is active. Wrap each request in a transaction set. Okay. before calling a view function restarts a transaction. If the response is produced without problems, Django commits the transaction. Okay, you may perform sub-transactions using save points in your view code, typically with the Atomic Context Manager. Okay. Right, so assuming that I don't want to control it explicitly, I could just set the configuration of my database to have it be like, whatchamacallit, to just, I'll just set it to true, I suppose. There you go. I'm just gonna have to set it to true. Share VS Code actually. Right. So what I'm hearing is that I should go to my settings and simply turn atomic requests to true, right? And my database configuration settings here. We could have something like atomic requests at true? Like that? That seems very irresponsible. But I think that is what it's implying. I mean, like, here, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, we got, here. So this is true, yeah. That's really all I need to do. Wrap each view function in a DB transaction. The one limitation I can see with this is that I have to keep my functions short. Not really. I have to keep my functions purposeful, right? Not really purposeful. Of course they're going to be purposeful. They're functions, my guy. It's just they have to be more purposeful than usual, right? Alright, whatever. I'm just going to have to check. I'm going to create the models first. I'm going to have to create one model and two other models here. So it's going to be route ticket payment. Route ticket payment. Pass. Like that. Then, what else do we really need? It's kind of stupid, honestly. Route ticket payment. What? Huh? Alright. I think this is like implicitly saying that there is only one user of the application. God. What the fuck? E-ticketing. What a stupid assignment. It's like, oh well. Alright, thank you GPT. Your services have been very much appreciated. So what I have to do with a route, ticket, and payment is let's say, oh god, e-ticketing, transportation. Okay. Let's say that route has a start and a stop point, right? Let's say start is a models dot let's say it's an address, right? Models dot car field max length. Addresses can be long though. I don't think I want to keep it in a car field. Let's just have it be a text field. Let's call it start address, so it's a little more, it has a little more semantic meaning. Then we have and destination address models and text field again. And then other than that, we're gonna have the distance, perhaps? Distance models dot distance can be an integer because we can keep it. Let's keep it in kilometers. I think kilometer. No, actually, just storing something. I don't think we're ever gonna need that many kilometers, right? If we were to store it in meters, that would be an unnecessary amount of detail, though. So I think I'm just gonna have model whatever integer, a small positive, positive small integer field. This goes to 32,000 if I'm not mistaken. Let's go check the model reference actually. Wait a sec. Alright. Can I go model reference? Positive small goes to 32,000. No one will ever need more than 32,000 kilometers to travel. However, the I think we need more resolution than this, right? In that case, I do think that it's more wise to use a positive integer field, right? So we can keep track of the distance in meters instead. So it could go up to 2 million kilometers, but oh man, that's so much wasted space, honestly. Small integer field, small auto field, time field. I think we have like a decimal field, if I'm not mistaken. Float field or decimal field. But I think decimal is better. A decimal field is better. Let's just use decimal field. Decimal field, max digits. Max digits. Let's assume that the furthest someone will ever go is 1,000 kilometers, right? Now let's say 40,000 kilometers. So the circumference of the Earth. So that's gonna be 40,000 is 5 numbers, right? We're gonna add one more digit, so that's six digits. Decimal places 1. 1 decimal place. Yep. Alright. Decimal places 1. 6 digits, decimal places. Alright, that's good. Alright, and then for the ticket, we're going to the route. This. Okay, a ticket can contain a route, right? So that's a models.foreign key to a route object, and on delete let's just use cascade, because when the route disappears you can't really buy a ticket for it, right? So all the tickets should, oh fuck, that's kind of dangerous as well though, because if a route disappears and someone's already paid for a ticket, they don't have the evidence that the ticket exists, right? So I don't think this is wise. So it can't be cascade. But what else could it be? Protect. No, but protect prevents the route from being, let's say set default, and then set the default value of the route to be not available, right? The route, the ID is gonna be a fucking incrementing integer, right? So this default value doesn't really stand, I don't think, because this default value is not the same data type as this thing's primary key. Deleted, let's see. That means I'm gonna have to set the primary key of the route to be a string, a car field, I guess. This means you know, I think that's probably a good thing to do. I know, what if we do a soft delete, right? Instead of having this, let's not set it to default. Let's assume that the route will be a soft delete. And what a soft delete means is that we have a status b models.boolean field. Because routes, you know, the routes may come and go, but we have, the best we can do is to keep track of the statuses of the routes. So, for example, if a route were to be deleted because it were closed, or perhaps the roads have gone too bad for our services to be able to traverse that route, then we can let the status go from open to closed. So let's say, because it's Boolean, let's just, instead of status, let's say is available. Right. And we can handle the deletion of the routes independently of the ticket. Then finally, the ticket should have a route, but it should also have a, I don't want the cost to be here, because that's going to be in payment, right? Ticket, I feel like the ticket should have the, right, the custom user, right? User, say buyer, the customer, models foreign key to a custom user. And on delete, this time on delete, it's a clear cascade. Now, other than this, we would probably need validity, right? No, we would also want a foreign key to the payment object. Okay, which way should it be? it should be a one-to-one field. So the ticket is like pulling the other stuff towards it, right? It needs the other stuff. So I think we're gonna do it this way. Models, foreign key. So a ticket involves one route, one customer, and one ticket. I think that makes sense. Because Python is an interpreted language, you have to go top to bottom like that. Okay, foreign key to payment. Then when the payment is deleted, we're gonna have to restrict that, right? Because we don't want the ticket to disappear when the payment disappears. No, actually, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. It's the other way around. The ticket should depend on the payment should depend on the ticket. So the ticket should be a models foreign key to the ticket. Then when the ticket is deleted, models cascade. There we go. I think that makes more sense. This allows for maybe we could assign multiple different payment options, right? What's going on here? Oh, finance. Alright. Ticket, and we also need the status. Now this is where we can have status choices. Right. I think integer choices should be okay. No, actually, let's use text choices. Say, and then $P, then paid, complete, right, complete, okay, or done. Pending, pending. Then the final one should be canceled. And all these choices aren't really enums now. Why don't we just use a simpler? We don't need to inherit these choices, right? I forgot how to do it without these enums. Honestly, this is probably fine. And then the status could be our field whose choices are the enums. Status choices. Then max length, because that's required. 11, no 9. 9 characters long at most. Ticket, status, price, right? payment, the due amount should be kept here as a decimal field, because some denominations, well, no, some currencies can be small and some can be large. Some might have decimals, some might not. So just keep it quite modest, because we've seen inflation up to like a quadrillion dollars, right? Quadrillion is like, the trillion is 10 to the 12, and a quadrillion is 10 to the 15. So let's just keep it safe with a 10 to the 20th, right? I think that's how much Google is being sued for, like 1 septillion or something, which is pretty nuts. Just keep it 1 to the 20 to, what do you call it, to take into account for inflation. So max digits, say at most we're gonna have 2 decimal points, right? Because we have like 25 cents, 10 cents, 1 cent. I think I've seen like 1,000th of a base currency, so let's keep it at 22 then. Decimal places 2 at most. Alright, I think that's good. Ticket, due amount, status, route, customer. I think that's all we really need. Okay, now what? What next? Oh, yeah, I haven't been showing this. Yeah, I just added the status choices, ticket amounts, status, route ticket. Yeah, it's a bunch of simple stuff. Back to the browser window. Alright, implement features to perform a transaction in the front end. I don't want to doubt lecturers, but it sounds like they're understanding transactions wrong, right? But it turns out to do front end. Man. Alright. Alright, whatever. Let's go to the views. Okay, I definitely should have split this up into multiple applications. I think I should. I think I will. Alright, let's create a new. Is the end on? Is the environment on? It is. Surprisingly so. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're going to start at, let's call it e-ticketing. Oh. Okay. Now instead of e-ticketing, we can plop our 3 models. So instead of putting it in main, plop this in our e-ticketing application. Okay, now this we should import from the input validation. Nice. I think no errors here so far. Now I just need to create views for this bad boy. Well, let me put some music up real quick. kind of loud. Now that's very loud. Okay. Yeah, that's still quite loud to my ears. Yeah, I think that's good. My volume is not up that high, I don't think. Keep it quite low. Yeah. Alright. Anyways, what we're gonna have to do is create some views to, I suppose, perform CRUD operations on the new models that we have here. Alright, so what operations can we do? For example, of course we want to be able to create new route, right? Create new route. This is not a class-based view, so it's going to accept a request in the form of an HTTP request. This is a Django HTTP import HTTP request and the HTTP response. I don't think I'm gonna import the HTTP response until I need it, because sometimes we just need the render function to return stuff. View route creation form, because first we're gonna have to show them the form, right? In order to create the route. Why a form? I think it's the simplest way to perform transactions here, right? So what we're gonna do is render the form. I think that's quite explanatory, self-explanatory. We're gonna return render request, and the, let's say, route creation form .html. Context. Do we need context? No. No. Not for now. Right. Def, we're gonna create route. Right? Yeah, create route. Request, HTTP request. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to get the data for the route creation by taking it from the request. So this is going to be a post request, right? So we can get the rec body getting the request dot post. Okay, we can, yeah, this is a dictionary, I think, right? A post is a query dict, yeah, so it's a dictionary, I suppose. Okay. Request.post. Then I think this is going to be in the form of, like, it's just a dictionary, right? Yeah, when we're using Django's internal systems, it's going to be a simple dictionary. I don't think I have to worry too much about it. So what we're going to have to do here is first validate the data, and that validation will happen in a form, right? So we're going to have to write a form with some simple validation later. Anyway, let me check out how I created my forms previously. Okay, form. Okay, I just passed my form. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, I think I'm going to do the same thing, because that allows easier data validation, right? It allows for easier data validation. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to create a new file called forms.py, from Django, forms, import form, right? Form, there we go. And then we're going to create a new form, so that's a route creation form, which inherits a form. fields are going to be, I think, yeah, I don't think they have that, right? Let's check. I would have totally used that if I could have. Yeah. Template name. I see. Email, password. Okay. So I just tell them my fields. The fields that I'm going to have to be using depend on the model. And in this model, we're going to have a start, destination, and the distance. Because by default, this is going to be available. So start is going to be a well, I think we're going to have to, from Django, import forms, right? Wait, that sounds that sounds weird. I don't think I did that. I did. Alright, whatever. Start is going to be forms dot, it's going to be a text field, a text input. I don't need any attributes really. As long as it's text, right? Then the destination is going to be forms dot text input again. And then the distance forms dot, we need it to be like a numeric input, number input. Yeah. Yeah. So numbering. Well, I actually check how I did it earlier. I think, yeah, number input you can tell them the max and the minimum, right? Did I even use a number input? I did not. Nice. I respect that. Right, but I have to tell them the attributes. Okay, I see. Hmm? Cool. I think I'm A. I think I'm class A. Yeah, I am. Why is my color different?
Yeah? Yeah?
Oh, I forgot to take my rolls. Ooh. Hmm?
Hey! Oh!
Sam!
Wait!
Ini udah terlalu gede kah?
Udah susah-susah manjat motor.
Ini manjat gimana?
Dari pohon kan?
Tongkat dulu.
Mana itu?
Tompel emang? compound. Di luar. Siapa itu?
Alright, back to the attributes. So, dictionary, right? Okay. Oh. There we go. Think. Need to have the max be 5 distance. I don't think. Oh well. The max, huh? I think what's more important, honestly, is a placeholder. So instead of max, I'll just use placeholder distance in kilometers, right? I think that should be good enough. Those are all the things I need, and then route edit form. The route edit form should honestly be the same. So route manipulation form as opposed to route manipulation. That sounds way cooler than it really is, but oh well. What if they just call it route form? I think that clears things up way more. Oh wait, this is bad. We need another ID to denote whether this. Well, I'm kind of assuming that the ticket here is a one-time use ticket because foreign key won't. Well, no, actually, there will be another implicitly generated ID, right? ID, I think. I don't think I need a form for that, and it's just going to be a drop down, and you got to choose between the routes. I guess payment? Yeah. Ooh, I don't know. It's like a bill, right? I don't know if I should define it in payment. Actually, I think this is... Oh, I know. The ticket should define the type of service you're going to get, right? Because that's how you'll be able to calculate the payment. Well, not really. I just realized, oh I know these are not model forms. Where does this go actually? These are just the validators. These are this is the form. Where does the data go? The view? Oh yeah, okay. Then this should be nothing to me, but oops. I think I might be overthinking this a little. Instead of route, okay, I'm thinking about what a payment form would look like. Because the ticket form is just going to be a drop down, right? I don't think I need this to be a form. Okay. Payment form. No, I don't think I even need a payment form. Okay, let's just delete this one. It's going to be a route form. Does the user model even have a balance? It does not. Okay. That means I probably don't need any of that here either. Alright, that's good to know. Alright, so route form. Forgot. Guess it's just reusing the same patterns over and over. It's an empty form. Okay. But then we render this with the form context. Form being the form. Just like that. like we need the comment here. Then to create the route, right, we're not going to use the request body.post because we're not using something like DRF. We're going to get this form is equal to actually. We are rec body request.post, right? Pretty sure that's how you did it. You serialize it into the form data. Like that. If form, I think we can validate it, right? Is valid, yeah. If is valid, then we get the cleaned data. I think it would be wise to just call it form then, on clean data. And then we're going to create, so what are we going to do? We're going to get to route. Route object, create. How do we map this one by one though? It's kind of annoying. Okay, whatever. Gonna have to just remember start address, destination address. And the distance, right? So start address is going to be CD. Default is start, pretty sure. New route. Right. Okay. After we create a new route, I think I'm gonna work on this on my own. I feel like I can focus better that way. Yeah, I'll be back when I get back.